Alrighty. Continuing on, we got another one. $1 tip from... You're describing karma. That's why it's always important to be a good person when it matters most. Now, I will openly admit over the years, I told you guys this time and time again, I made big mistakes back in the day. When I was my early days as a content creator, I was an asshole. I spoke out of turn. I insulted things that I had no right to insult. I was insulting game developers. I was insulting other content creators. I was insulting games. It came from my days of being a competitive Street Fighter, where back then, to make a name for yourself, you had to be offensive. You had to actually start rivalries. That way people would care about you, right? So it kind of is from that. But that was over 10 years ago. If you take a look at things now versus then, and if you watch my content today versus back then, okay, how can you even compare the two? It's like apples to oranges. It's hilarious because people will say, Phil, you've changed too much. Your content's too tame. We don't like you anymore. Then people say, oh, you see, Phil hasn't changed at all. That's why we still hate him. Like, what? You can't have it both ways. It's either you admit that I've changed as a person, I've grown, I don't do those offensive things I used to do anymore, but then you admit, but you say, oh, well, now the content's boring. Or it's the other way around. If it's so offensive or whatever, then you know what I'm saying? It's bullshit because they want it both ways. They want justification for hating on me, but then they use that as a reason to say that also my content sucks. It doesn't make any sense at all. It's called rationalization, right? And it doesn't work. You can't rationalize toxic hate. You just can't do it. It's not anything logical. Logical people don't do that. Logical people will take someone and criticize, say, nah, okay, I don't like them, and move on. They don't do systematic harassment. You know what I'm saying? So you want to talk about karma? Sure, absolutely. In the Street Fighter community, I did awful things. Karma. Sure, my early days as a YouTuber, I did some really dumb, awful things. Karma. But when you're talking about the last 5+ years, I don't even know how you can even reasonably say that any of the stuff that's happened to me could be karma when I have really tried to change for the better, listening to your feedback actively. You know, I want to be a better person. I don't think that it's, I hope I've become a better person. And I think it's an ongoing thing, right? And self-improvement is always an ongoing thing. You're never perfect. So you always got to try to improve a little more, right? But I don't see how that justifies what happens to me today. All I want to do is go on a podcast. Within 24 hours of the announcement, it's now got to be an interrogation session because everyone is spreading misinformation. But you see, oh, by the way, the point I was making about Derich earlier, but you see the point? Already there's insane misinformation about me being fed to these guys. It's completely wrong. It's all wrong shit. It's, you know, oh, Derich is a giant whale of Phil's. So we went and we harassed him and we found all these horrible things. He's literally he's not a financial contributor at all. He's just someone who talks on the stream. And people actually went out there and bullied him. How the fuck is that fair? If anything, the last thing you would want to bring up is him because it makes you and your detractor community look awful. But you're so stupid and up your own ass, you don't realize that. You would want to not touch that with a 10-foot pole because you realize harassing a random viewer is not the way to prove your point about anything. Anyway, let's continue. Reiterate myself. It's your word against theirs. Hard evidence would end all of this. Why not show anything that will back up your word? Because they have created their narrative in a very specific way. They had years to work on this. This isn't like they just came up with this overnight. This is a narrative that has been built in a specific way for years. So that now they think they've backed me into this corner. That if to prove my innocence would have to reveal something, but if I reveal it, it could still be used to hurt me, right? Right? And I've already explained. If I were to open up my phone at all, and you see anything on my screen, any of that is potential that they could now try to hack, harass, mess with my life. If they see a login that I use for anything on my phone, oh, that's it. And you see what I'm saying? Any of that, any information about a financial institution, about anything, you know, any little piece like that. And the thing is, that's what they want. They won't accept it. And then on top of all of that, all right, on top of all of that, if I did provide it, it would either be, oh, you see, well, Phil fabricated it, or he changed it just in time for this, so that now he looks okay. It doesn't matter. These people are not looking for any answer that will prove me innocent. If anything happens that would say, here's the definitive, evidence that I'm innocent, they wouldn't care. It would be what we've said over the years. It's called moving the goalpost. They will go on to the next thing. All right, well then, what about this horrible thing and this horrible thing? That's how they are. They've only done this every single time. You know what I'm saying? For the last 10 years. At first, it was, this is how you don't play. Then it was, first it was Phil's a bad gamer. Then it was Phil's a bad person. Then it was, you know, Phil doesn't deserve the success he has because he's lazy. Let's do all these horrible things to him. Then when I lose all my money because they destroy my YouTube channel, then it's, oh, you see, now Phil's lying about this and lying about that. It's on to the next. It's on to the next. It's on to the next. It's always on to the next thing with these people. I've been through this for 10 years. You see? 10 years. It's not like this has been, oh, I'm just getting exposure to it now. It's a 10-year process of the same thing happening over and over. So, the whole point is, the few times in history when there has been definitive evidence that what they say is wrong, they pretend like the situation didn't exist and they move on from it and move on to the next horrible thing. So there's no point. That's the point. Why ruin my own life and my family's life in order to disprove one piece of what they're saying just for there to be 10 more, and then they continue the harassment, right?